Hello everyone, this is Cindy Seidelman, and this is a special Tiermaker video that I'm doing. I kind of want to explain this one. I follow a great Twitch channel called YerOlDad, um, YerOlDad, and what this stream does is they show, he shows lots of great game shows. They have match. He's got Match Game Mondays. Shows a lot of classic Prices Right with Bill Cullen. Um, by the way, yay for the 70-cent spread Imperial and Zip is king. I just want to get that out there. And last night, what he did was he created a tier maker. And the tier maker is essentially the greatest game show hosts from all the times. Just wanna. He calls it the best game show hosts through the years, and this is the list. And he's got a really good selection here. Um, he's got Bob Eubanks, Money Hall, Peter Tomarkin, David Ruprecht, so on and so forth. Sean Charles Daly, Chuck Woolery, Jim Perry, Pat Sajak. We'll explain to us more as go on. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna do the tier maker that he created and give my own thoughts on all the hosts and see how it goes, and hopefully you enjoy it. And while you're doing that, hopefully you support us on Patreon down there, patreon.com/GameShowGumbo. This is a bonus video, so there's not early access, but if you would like early access to all of our other videos that we do, a lot of our bonus video, a lot of our weekend videos, Games of Canada, home game, which there will be a home game coming out this weekend. And this year we're doing a whole bunch of top fives. So if you want those, if you want to watch those a day early before they go public on Sunday or Monday, become a $1 Patreon backer. It's $1 a month, and you get early access to all those great videos. I think I need to turn up my mic. Okay, there we go. Mic is turned up, and we're good to go. So we're gonna get started. We're just gonna plow through these in order, the same way that your old dad did it. And we're going to start with Bob Eubanks. Bob Eubanks is known for hosting the Newlywed Game. He hosted the CBS revival of Card Sharks from 86 to 89. He also did the Diamond Head Game. He also did Trivia Trap. He did a few other shows. Bob is great. And what makes Bob great is his reactions. Like, we've seen the Newlywed Game tried before without Bob. We had the week with Jim Lang. We had Paul Rodriguez, who replaced Bob in the 80s version. We had Gary Kroger, but that was a whole different format. We don't really count that. And recently with Carney Wilson and Sherry Shepherd. Sherry Shepherd probably comes the closest to the great reactions by Bob. And Bob is one of those hosts that you could plug into any show and he could do well. And that's the sign of a good host. So we'll put him in A tier for right now. These might change, they're kind of fluid. And plus, Bob has also done some great production stuff, like All-Star Secrets. Very underrated gem, which I really enjoy. I do wish that... I don't know if those tapes still exist. I know it was like 79 when the show aired, so probably those tapes are destroyed, which is a shame because I really liked All-Star Secrets. Like, I want to find a copy of that theme. That theme is a banger. Then we have Monty Hall. Monty Hall is well known for doing Let's Make a Deal. He created the show. Very influential show because that show kind of elements of Let's Make a Deal are seen on Price is Right today, especially with the various pricing games. Um, like you could see are lifted from various games on Let's Make a Deal. Like Let's Make a Deal had a matching game for a car for like you'd have to pick two items that had the same price, and this was done like 71, 72 when they started that, probably earlier in the daytime version, but all those episodes are gone. And that became Pick a Pair on Price is Right. So he's very influential in that. He also is very good at doing other shows, even though he's really only known for Let's Make a Deal, but he's done Beat the Clock, and I'm going to be showing off some of the Canadian game show knowledge. He also did a show called The Joke's on Us in Canada, which was also pretty good. Um, I'm going to put him in A tier just because he's so synonymous with Let's Make a Deal. Like America's Top Trader, TV's big dealer. Um, with Wayne Brady's version that's on right now, which is also really good. I mean, that was Wayne's handpicked successor. Then we have Peter Tomarken. Peter Tomarken had Hitman, had Pressure Luck, and one of my personal favorites, Wipeout. Then he did some GSN, early GSN shows, and did Paranoia. I like Peter, but honestly, with the new version, I don't think he's the best Pressure Luck host anymore. I think Elizabeth Banks has kind of unseated him. So I'm going to put him in B tier. He's still a good host. But his luster isn't what it is anymore. Especially with Elizabeth Banks' version. And she's kind of gotten more in tune to the show nowadays than Peter has. Then we got Bert Convey. He did Tattletales. He did Super Password. And, like, he's a good conduit for Tattletales. I like him on Tattletales. I will be honest, I don't like him on Super Password. He's fine on Super Password, but I'm gonna put him in C tier. I think Bert's problem was that he's great at shows that require. I like him stirring it up on Tattletales more than I did on Super Password. And Super Password, when you get later on, it's not that good. Then we get Bob Barker. For anybody who's followed this channel for the longest time, knows about my feelings on Bob's last 5 years. And I kind of wish I was like, I'm doing all this live, so this is going to be put up unedited. But if I could, I would put up the Jessica Brand supercut of her Bob Barker impersonation, which is truly top notch. But I can't deny he's an A tier host. Hosting The Price is Right as well as he did, and Truth or Consequences, replacing Ralph Edwards. And he's more like, if you talk to a lot of people when it comes to Truth or Consequences. Well, Ralph Edwards was good at Truth or Consequences. Bob Barker made it shine, and he's also legendary. Also, sort of a forerunner because once Truth Consequences got canceled, I think it was by NBC, the daytime version. Um, they decided to syndicate it, and syndication in like the '60s was very expensive, but they made it work, and it does a really fantastic job. Now we get David Ruprecht, and I am not putting him in F tier. Like, he is not an F tier host. Like, he did a great job on Supermarket Sweep. Um, and we've kind of gotten confirmation thanks to the recent revival with Leslie Jones. Not everybody can host to tell the could host Supermarket Sweep, so he's at least C tier. Um, because I don't think he could work on any other show. And then we get to my boy Pat Finn. As everybody knows on this channel, I am a diehard fan of Joker 90. And I also love Shop Till You Drop. Two of my favorite shows that some people kind of shy away from, he's done and I love. And I just think he's the calming presence that kind of stirs the drink on Shop Till You Drop. Shop Till You Drop can be very chaotic, especially with some of the stunts, especially during the PAX era. And also, one of the things that your old dad talked about when doing his Tiermaker is, can anybody else do the show that he's hosting? And we got the confirmation on that as well. With the PAX version, the answer is no. Because they tried with JD Roberto, and that show was not good. I'm going to put him in C tier alongside Convey and Ruprecht and all that fun stuff. Now we got JD Roth. Funhouse, which was very good. Then he started producing his own stuff with Double Up, which was terrible. Then he had Masters of the Maze, which he's slightly better than Mario Lopez. Zoo Venture is fantastic. Unfortunately, he was probably one of the weaker parts on a very weak show in Sex Wars. I don't know. I think I gotta put him in C tier. Like, here's the thing. We're not taking into account shows that this person produced. Because if we were gonna take into account of that, we have Chuck Barris right here. If we were taking into account shows that he produced, Chuck Barris would be automatic F tier because of Three's a Crowd. Then we got Alex Trebek, Canadian Goat. Come on, S tier, easy. Jeopardy, High Rollers, Pitfall, which is not his fault that the show was bankrupt. It was Catalina Productions, who, by the way, also screwed over Monty Hall because they owed him him and Stephen Haydas $250,000 because they helped produce Let's Make a Deal, the Canadian version. And I don't know what else to say about Alex except hell yeah. There's one clip that I want to see again, and somebody came up with a mega cut, or a small, not a mega cut, but a 1 minute clip of Trebek doing Savage by Megan Thee Stallion, and it's one of my favorite things. I haven't seen it in a long time. I want to see it again. Alan Ludden, Password, also did Liars Club and Stumpers, and College Bowl. He's A tier because I absolutely love Password Plus. I absolutely love Password in general, and the Liars Club is just a great show, and he's a great uh, moderator for that, trying to contain all the craziness of the items and also the stories that the celebrities told. And I think he did it better than Bill Anderson and better than Eric Boardman on the new Liars Club. And also a little bit better than Rod Serling on the original. I don't need to say anything else about Bill Cullen. S tier all the way. Like, if you were to create the Mount Rushmore of game show hosts, Bill Cullen's up there. Dick Clark did the Pyramids, did the Challengers, did the Krypton Factor, did It Takes Two, Categories, and he is another reason why I am not taking into account shows that he produced, because a lot of that gets negated because he also produced the worst game show of all time in The Chamber. So since we're just talking about hosting, he's A tier all the way. The reason he's A tier is because his hosting on Categories was not good. Like, how do you make Dick Clark not Dick Clark? Categories is your answer. Then you got Gene, and this is the argument I have: is he S tier or is he A tier? Because my thinking is, anytime he's on Match Game, he's great. But what about the stuff that he did other than Match Game? Which was Make the Connection and Choose Up Sides, which I've seen and he did well on. But then you have Break the Bank in '85, which probably isn't his fault. Like, he was sold a bill of goods and it didn't work. And so he. I want to. Well, they say that. I think it was a mutual of leaving / being fired by Richard Klein. Not that one, but the producer, Richard Klein. And you have the Movie Masters, which it was just him having fun with some former Match Game to Tell the Truth panelists talking about movies. I think solidly A tier, but talk to me on any other day. On other days, he'll probably be an S tier host. Barris. No. Compared to everybody else on this list, Barris is not, on what he does, he's not a host. He's not the greatest host. Because it has been proven time and time again that anybody can do his job. Gary Owens could do his job. Don Blue could do his job. George Gray on Extreme Gong can do his job. Mike Myers doing a bad British impersonation can do his job. Not David Tell. And plus, he's another reason why I'm not taking productions into account, because he would have been F. Well, I guess he would have been F anyways. Because the show kind of lives and dies by the time in the acts, and the acts on the ABC version that we had recently with Mike Myers, Will Arnett, Tommy Maitland, Mike Myers in British garb, did well. John Charles Daly, What's My Line? It's news to me. Really A tier because he helped make that show go. And plus, he had to keep it at a level of decorum, as was the style of the time. Mainly because, you know, it was supposed to be fancy. It was supposed to be like a serious thing with some humor to it. Um, it would get sillier when we got into the syndicated era with Wally Bruner and Larry Blyden, and his stable presence made that show work. Then we got Wink Martindale. Um, Mainly known for Gambit, Tic Tac Toe, High Rollers, Debt. Um, he is a quintessential plug and play host. You could put him into any format and make it work, which is why he's automatic A tier. Because if, as a host, if you could be put on any show and make it work, you're golden. I can't think of a show that he got plugged into and it didn't work. Maybe Instant Recall, but that was so far in. Like, I think he was pushing 80 when he was doing that for GSN. And I never got the show, but I understood it, question mark. That might be something I need to revisit. I think I might need to revisit Instant Recall for 26 weeks or less in the future. But Wink's one of the best. Ken Ober. He's one I struggle with. Because he, apart from Bobby Van, did make me laugh the best. Remote Control that was him. But I think the problem was that fifth season when you could tell. You know how I talked about Bob Barker going through the motions in his last few years of The Price is Right, but that was due to age. Ken Ober was striving to do bigger and better things. Around this time, I think he was doing Parenthood for NBC, because I think the movie had come out in 88, 89, and NBC had the brilliant idea of turning that into a series, which didn't work because I think it flopped after a year. But Ken Ober was on it, and it really didn't work. And afterwards, Ken Ober stuck with comedy. He produced a bunch of stuff. He produced Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn, which I love. I think he's C tier. And then we got Tom Kennedy. He's another one of those plug and play hosts, because you could plug him into almost any format and make it work. Note that I said almost, and that's why he's B tier. His problem was he didn't find a stable show until You Don't Say, which was 63, 69. Then there was a short-lived revival in 75. He did Split Second, which he did well. Name That Tune, which he did well. I think he did it better than Jim Lang. Few got a little bit confusing, but that's not his fault. That's the show's fault. I liked his livelier taking on Password Plus. Like, this is why I have him above Burt Convey. You just look at Passwords. Like, Tom Kennedy made Password fun, made Password Plus fun. Bert Convy really didn't do that. Then we get Peter Marshall, who I the origin story of him hosting Hollywood Squares is best because of what happened with him and his partner Tommy Noonan, his comedy partner Tommy Noonan. Tommy was sick, and Dan Rowan essentially stole a lot of Peter Marshall and Tommy Noonan's material. And so Peter Marshall took the Hollywood Squares gig because if he didn't take it, Dan Rowan was going to get it. So Peter Marshall said, "It's 13 weeks. I'll screw him out of a job." And 13 weeks turned into over 15 years. Um, and any other show that he did, if it wasn't based off of Hollywood Squares, he really wasn't that good at it. I didn't like him on Fantasy. I didn't like him on Reel to Reel, but that's also due to age. Um, Yahtzee was just a mess. I liked All Star Blitz. I'm gonna put Peter Marshall in B tier. Dawson. Uh, on screen, he was one of the best. However, behind the scenes, he was one of the worst. I don't know, because if we're judging him on screen, he's A tier, just on screen. If we're because for off screen antics, he's F tier. I'm gonna put him in B tier just for the combination. Then we have Pat. Pat Sajak only did one show, and that was Wheel. And he's got the Guinness World Record for hosting it the longest. And I'm pretty sure he's going to host it until he can't anymore. I mean, physically can't anymore, kind of like what happened with Barker. Um, so automatically he's A tier. Um, he also did Jeopardy once, and he did it well. I kind of wish they would have brought him back when they had the rotating guest hosts. When Alex Trebek passed away, because he would have done really well, but that thing kind of got screwed up because of Mike Weasel Richards doing what he does best, trying to politic his way into another job. And if it wasn't for the great journalism that is Clara McNear, that's exactly what happened. He would be hosting Jeopardy right now. Jim Perry is S tier, not only for his American shows in Card Sharks and Sale of the Century, but also the Canadian shows in that he did for Definition, Headline Hunters, Bingo at Home, or The Moneymakers, whatever. Jim Perry is fantastic. And he is one of the few, like Bill and Alex, that hosted 3 shows at the same time. That's right, he's done 3 at the same time. Because he had in 78 to 81. He did Card Sharks, Definition in Canada, and Headline Hunters in Canada at the same time. That is unfathomable to me. Because he was always working. Because I think his mindset, and I think Adam Needham said this on In Search of Canada's game shows. he knew that the phone wasn't going to be ringing forever. So, as many shows he could get and do well, he did. And he did. And he did. Chuck Woolery. I'll throw him in B tier. Because he was great on Wheel, he was great on Love Connection, great on Scrabble, great on Lingo. He gets marks not taken off for hosting that cat game show. He also gets marks taken off because of like he was the original host of the Big Spin, but didn't do it well at all. Jim Lang did the dating game, but it has been shown that Chuck Woolery could do the dating game and do it better. So I think Jim Lang's C tier. Then we have a lot of good things taken into account with, some things we have to take into account with Jim Lang. I'll say why about the C tier. He's not that exciting as a host. Sure, he's a host that you can plug him in, but it's just that 6 out of 10 mentality I get from Jim Lang. Like, you can see it in the 78 dating game. You can see it in Bullseye, Name That Tune, Triple Threat. Oddly enough, I think his best work was $1 Million Chance of a Lifetime, because if you can't get excited over $1 million in 1986, there is something wrong with you. And then we have Mark Summers. My childhood. Double Dare. What Would You Do? I'm also going to bring up History IQ, because he was fantastic there. Proof that he could do a serious show and do it well. He also did Couch Potatoes, which I also like. His overall oeuvre, I will put him in A tier. Well, somebody could do his job kind of as good as he did with Lisa Koshy on the recent version of Double Dare. But Summers just hits different. I also want to see Mark Summers kind of do a Food Network game show that isn't Trivia Unwrapped. Which is a show that that's another one on that list of 26 weeks or less that I need to do. Well, that is my Tiermaker list. I'm going to save it and throw it in YerOlDad's Discord. And we'll see how that goes. Because I know he's going to take a look at some of these Tiermakers on his Tuesday stream. And we'll discuss from there. Anyway, that's gonna do it for me. Hope you like this look at this little tier maker. If you see any other game show tier makers, let me know, please, because these are fun, quick videos that I like doing and I could upload easy. And if you like this video, please do, so the algorithm does its thing. Thumbs up this video. Leave a comment on what you think of this tier maker. I'm gonna put the link to this tier maker in the description, so you could do this tier maker and share it with your friends. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and if you want to become a Patreon backer and get those weekend videos a day early, become a Patreon backer at patreon.com/GameShowGumbo. I'm Cindy Saddleman, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.